Thank you. Welcome to the YouTube channel. My name is Lucas, aka 3 Point Spanish King. Today we're here with Gaurav from India and Tim Dale Lace from South Africa to preview the third test, but it's also a review of the second test between, of course, South Africa and India. And Tim, what an amazing win for South Africa against all odds, chasing that runs those days. Chasing all those runs during that day, unbelievable. How describe the feeling that during that match for you, watching that test match?
Well, I was on another podcast on the penultimate day of the test match, and I was very downcast. I was very depressed. I basically said to the guys, it's going to take an absolute miracle for South Africa to pull off this win. I said the writing was on the wall. I said the ball was in India's court. Everything was in their favour. Pujara was back in form. It was quite extraordinary. Quite extraordinary. It is the best batting performance from a South African team in the last 2 years. That's maybe even longer, but certainly the last 2 years in Test match cricket, it was quite extraordinary to see that the way that they played in that final innings was, and everybody contributed. That was the thing. It wasn't just one person. Quite extraordinary. A really special Test match.
You need to unmute yourself, Lucas. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, India won. We're going to break down what Tim said, innings by innings, as I've discussed this with Tim. Backstage, I asked who won the toss. India won the toss and they batted first. They made probably a below par score of 202. Rahul was probably the man of that innings, Tim. With an 80, I think. So how did you see India's batting performance and most importantly South Africa's bowling performance in the first innings?
It was really substandard from South Africa from a bowling point of view. They started the test match slowly, and you kind of felt, well, this is the repercussions of the shock loss in the first test, and it didn't start well off at all. I thought that the India let it get to them a little bit. They were in a really good position early on. They started off well. As you said, Rahul was exceptional. He's been exceptional throughout this tour. He's been a really batting, probably India's best batsman on this tour, and by some distance. But as we will discuss later on, the second half of the innings, they let it slip. They let good position slip. They needed to get 275, 300 on this wicket. If they got to that, and Kale said at the post-match press conference, said they probably would have won the test. So they left themselves 70 plus short. We bowled well in periods, but I didn't think we were at the straps at all in a general sense in terms of the bowling. I think it was more of India's overconfidence, maybe getting ahead of themselves, thinking that they had enough runs, pushing too early. So yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, but I think India realised that they scored too few runs in their first innings.
And by the way, KO Rahul made a 15 on 80. Apologise for that. Gaurav, how did you see India's batting performance? As Tim said, they started reasonably enough. Probably should have got more than what they did. The lower order outside of Ashwin, who actually had a very good innings with a 40, needed more support with Ashwin. Didn't really get that in the middle order with Bahari, Pant. So what was your analyst of their batting in the first innings?
Again, we'll start with KL Rahul. He has been once again. He got his opportunity in England once Mayank Agarwal got injured, unfortunately, on that before the Test series started. And again, he played brilliantly throughout the England series, and now in the South Africa. Obviously, in the first Test matches, he scored 100, and now backed up with 70, 80, whatever he has scored. The middle order has been quite a big concern for Team India for a very long period of time, and it has been the big concern right now in the Test series also. As you have rightly mentioned, Ravichandra scored some vital runs, but Rishabh Pant has been out of form for a long period of time. I think I remember that he was in very good nick in the Australian Down Under, and once the England tour to India also, he was in very good touch, but he hasn't contributed a lot in England also, once India toured to England and now in the South Africa. So that his performance is also a big concern, and the lower down the order is not contributing a lot, which we expect from Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj to stay for a long period of time. So that's the reason that India didn't contribute a lot. And Shardul Thakur also not been scoring a lot of runs. He has been the all-rounder which India has been looking for a very long period of time. So that's the story of the Indian batting lineup for me. Lucas, you can go ahead.
Okay, so that was the first thing. So we'll go on. South Africa batted. They responded with probably another below par score of 229. A lot of starts in that team. A lot of batsmen made starts. A lot of 20s. Timber Bavuma made a 50. Dean Elgar made a 20. The new wicketkeeper Kyle, help me out with the name here, Tim.
Kyle
Rahane made a 20. Marco Jansen even made a 20, a surprising 20. So most of their batsmen got starts, Tim, but weren't able to probably make that big score that they wanted to. So how did you see the response by South Africa in their first innings batting?
What they needed to do and what they did was they needed to get ahead of India. That was the most important thing, just to get ahead. It wasn't so much that they were only 29 ahead. It was the fact that they were ahead. It was a psychological blow that they got ahead of India. They probably would have, they certainly would have liked another 50, 60, 70 lead. That would have really put huge pressure on India. But I think overall, the way they've been batting the last 18 months, they're struggling to get to 300. They've really struggled to get to 300. As a unit, that it was probably a reasonable score. 10 bad performers at a real purple patch at the moment. He played exceptional. Elgar's 28 is very much underrated because he accumulated a lot of deliveries, which allowed the other guys, when they came in, they were not coming in to a brand new ball. So that helped the other guys come in and make their small contributions as they were, but they were important. As I say, just getting a lead was crucial. And a 29-run lead is still a lead.
Yeah, Gaurav seems to be gone, so I'll talk to you about this. Hindsight to India's bowling. Shardul Thakur was fantastic, taking 7 wickets. Bowling very accurate along the crack, particularly one crack on a pitch that absolutely played up. How did you see his performance in that innings, taking 7 wickets? And what could have South Africa done to counteract that?
Yeah, I think it was a case of the batters going, all we have to do is see off Shami and Bumrah, and we'll be all right. Those are the guys that we need to really be aware of. And then I do think there was an element, particularly with Keegan Peterson. He relaxed. Yeah, he got a score and he relaxed. The pressure. He thought that this was just a part-time bowler. But the curve's much quicker than you realise. It's much more skiddier. The ball comes out a lot quicker than you think. Really, he bowled it superbly. He bowled absolutely superbly. He bowled accurately, and he made us play. I thought that their bowling attack, as a whole, was better than our performance. We might have got more runs than they did, but I thought as a whole, as a bowling unit, they bowled better, particularly in that first innings. They made it very, very difficult for us to score any runs. You just see it. Elgar's 28 was off over 100 deliveries.
Yes, 120. Yes.
Yeah, it was very challenging. But the curve was exceptional. It was absolutely exceptional. You can't take away that 7 for 61. No, it was really quality bowling.
Okay, moving on to the third innings of India. They responded to South Africa's 229. I think they scored. I've got it right here. In fact, 266. How did you see South Africa's bowling? I thought they were really good. I think that could have been a lot worse for South Africa. Just like their first innings, a lot of starts from India. Rahane made a start. Pujara made a 60. Agarwal made a start. Even Thakur made a start. But South Africa, they clamped the Indian batters. They didn't let them get a big score, because 100 in a series like this can dictate a match, can determine a match. So I thought South Africa were really good putting the clamps on India and restricting their batsmen not to make a big score. How did you see their bowling in that third innings?
Well, it needs to be put into sort of categories. As a whole, again, if you take the entire innings, I again don't think we bowled as well as India, as they did. Don't think it was anything special. But when you take into Keita Rabada in that second and third spells, absolutely exceptional. Absolutely changed the game. It completely changed the game. India were cruising. India were looking at really close the door on South Africa and making sure that they got a series win. Rabada's first spell was below par, really below par. I thought Olafia was nothing special. That second innings, he just we're gonna
talk about more about him in just a minute. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. I just thought, so if you took the second and third spells for Rabada, where he got those 3 wickets, he got completely changed the complexion of the game. I also felt India, they thought that anything over 200 and they won the test match. I genuinely think that's what they thought.
I agree with that.
Too hard. They pushed too hard. In reality, they needed to get 300. They needed us to make 300.
Yep.
Pat, for example, you can't be playing stuff like that in Test cricket. If he's at 100, then fair enough. Then that's fair enough. You can't be playing shots like that in a situation like that. There's positive cricket, and then there's reckless cricket, and that was reckless. And outside of Thakur's 28, it would have been a lot worse. His 28, could have been very, very important if the South African wickets had fallen in their fourth innings. I also thought that they used Ashwin very badly, very, very badly when we were chasing. So that's the third innings. Yeah, so they pushed too hard. India pushed too hard. We bowled well in periods, in spells. Like Ngidi was good. I thought Ngidi was good all round.
Yep.
And Rabada was good as he bowled more overs. Yep. But overall, it was a bit of both. Bit of decent bowling, but some very, very suspect batting from India.
Yep. Anvid S said, "Hi, mate, Tim. Nice to see you in this channel. You're a great analyst. Thank you for that, Anvid." Thanks, Anvid. Now I want to talk about more that third innings. I want to talk about mainly Dean Elgar's use of Rabada. I think it was the fourth day where he did not use Rabada, his main strike bowler, used Njidi. Did you have a problem with that? Was that, in your opinion, the correct call by not using Rabada or Olivier? He used Janssen and Njidi. Was that the right call, Tim, according to you?
Yeah, it was. It was. After the match, Dean Elgar alluded to something happening behind the scenes between him and Rabada. And basically, it was a kick up the bum. It was basically saying to Rabada, listen, you are premier fast bowler. You can't be bowling like that in the first innings when we need to win the series. You can't be bowling like that. You can't be going through the motions. You need you to be at optimum. And I do think Rabada was just going through the motions just a little bit. He was just going through, not that he was bowling, terribly or anything, but he wasn't giving it his all. Something was not clicking. Maybe he was missing Nokia. They've got a real good partnership at the moment when they're bowling together. And Janssen's been sensational in the series. He's troubled the Indian batters pretty much throughout. With his pace and bounce and his accuracy, when he gets the ball to do stuff. So yeah, I had no problem with that, particularly when you take into consideration that there was something happening where Elgar was not 100% happy with what Rabada was producing at a particular time.
And what kind of as you said, he gave Rabada a kick up the backside. What kind of captain would Elgar be in that regard? Would it be like an Alan Border where he just absolutely teed off at Craig McDermott, told him if you're going to bowl like that, you're going to go home? Is he like a Joe Root customer? What kind of customer is Dean Elgar? How would he have spreaded that message to Rabada?
Well, it's an interesting one because he said he wants to lead from the front, so i.e. his batting. So that's how he wants to captain. He wants to score the runs, not have to have the bowlers get us out of trouble all the time. Because for the last 3 years, it's always our bowlers that has been winning our test matches. So he said, we need to lead from the front. I need to lead from the front with my batting. He's done that in both innings. When it comes to the bowlers, when it comes to dealing with them, well, I think you can see. He will tell our premier fast bowler if something is wrong. If our premier fast bowler is not bowling well, he will tell him. He won't put his arm around him and tell him, don't worry, it's fine. He's clearly going to tell them. He's already criticised Vion Mulder publicly the last test match. So he's not shy of telling them exactly what he thinks. I don't think it's going to be quite the Alan Border school of captaincy. I don't think he'll be effing and jeffing. But I think you can see already there will be a strong hand. It will be back up your ideas. You are our premier fast bowler, but if you're not going to bowl well enough, I'm going to give the ball to Janssen. I'm going to give the ball to Ndidi, or Olivier. I'm not just going to bowl you because you've got 200 wickets at 21.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad the South African bowlers listen to their captain, unlike our English bowlers who don't listen to Joe Root. So at least Dean Elgar's got them in some kind of order. We'll move on to the South African second innings, the fourth innings. They needed to chase 240, and boy, this was never in doubt. They did this very, very easily, Tim. Ada and Markram played very differently. He's been struggling a lot. He went gun-ho in this innings, Tim. Anything short, he absolutely smoked. Anything full, he absolutely smoked. Dean Elgar, 96, not out. Peterson, 28. Even Dussi, or Rassi, sorry, my bad. So apologies for that, made a 40. Everyone made a start. This was a team effort, and they did this very easily, Tim. So what was your thoughts on their fourth innings chase?
This is how we're going to win test matches. under Dean Elgar.
Yeah.
Lackety, hard-fought, determined, not flashy. We're just gonna grind out victories in this fashion. It's at times not going to be pretty, but it is going to be effective. As you say, every single batsman that batted contributed. 47-run opening partnership in the context of the situation, in the context of the game, in the context of the batting partnership between those two, vital, absolutely vital. It said to Markram, play a natural game, and more often than not, it'll come off. That's the 31. Just got South Africa off to a decent start, not great, but a decent start. Got a foundation where they could build from. And Dean Elgar, the night before the last day, took an absolute hammering from the bowlers. He was hit on the arm, the chest, the shoulder, all over the body. He was just determined. He just said, I'm not going to get out. I don't know what's going to happen in this test match, but I am not going to get out. That is Dean Elgar in a nutshell. Keegan Peterson played a nice 28. He did look good, and he always does. In his short career, he's always looked good at the crease. So that's a huge bonus for us. And as Dean said at the press conference, Rusty doesn't realise just how important that 40 was. That 40 was absolutely vital in the context of the match. If Rusty had been dismissed early, if Timber had been caught with the caught and bowled for naught, I think we could be sitting here and having a very, very different conversation. Again, wasn't pretty for Rusty, but again, it was absolutely determined. I thought India got their bowling, particularly on that last day, they got their bowling all wrong. All wrong. If you looked at earlier on, Rusty got an inside edge off Ashwin, bounced in front of the leg slip, just in front, and he had no clue about Ashwin. Absolutely, he was completely at sea. He had about two overs at Rusty, and that was it. Ashwin was taken off. The pressure was taken off to a large extent, even though Rusty was still under pressure, but he was really not enjoying Ashwin at all. And then, as you say, it was pretty much plain sailing. The only time was that Timber drop on the caught and bowled. If that had been caught, India still had a glimmer. They had a glimmer, even with Rusty's 40. They had a glimmer of hope. But overall, it was pretty much, as you say, plain sailing.
Yeah. If anything, Tim, you'd think being Ashwin, you think left-handers like Dean Elgar would struggle against him, not a right-hander like Rusty. As you pointed out, Rusty was really all over the place against Ashwin. But were you surprised that they did this so easily? This was not easy. This did not look easy. This was a very tough chase, but they did this very, very easy. Were you surprised with that? Of how easy they actually did this by?
I was.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised by Dean Elgar's innings because we've seen Dean Elgar do that a lot in his career. Typical Elgar innings. But the rest
I think he did. Sorry, Tim. I think he did one last year where he made in a losing side though, a losing course. I think he made an 80. I'm not sure who that was against though. You might have to correct me with that.
Yeah. He's done a lot of that. A lot of similar innings, and just a fair amount of it has been in a losing course. But the rest of them, it was sort of like it was so different to what we've seen in the last 2 years. It's what we've been hearing from the coaches. It's what we've been hearing from Mark Boucher. This is what we're going to do. But they haven't been doing it. They didn't do it against Pakistan. They didn't do it against the West Indies. They didn't do it against England. No, they were small, very much pocket-sized instances of it happening, but not over a whole long day and a half. It just hasn't happened. So we've been hearing it, and this was the result of the last 2 years of hard work. Where it's going to go from there is another thing, but this is exactly. If you said to Mark Boucher, "How do you want to win a Test match?" This was it. This was the blueprint of how to win a Test match for South Africa in its own conditions. This is the blueprint of it.
Absolutely. I did mention Aiden Markram. Now, like I said, he's been struggling for a long, long time, Tim. Did make some runs in Pakistan, but still way below his talented best. I made a tweet saying that he should absolutely smash it. He's in a rout. I think in my opinion, you may not agree with this. I think in my opinion, when you're in a rout, I think the best thing to do is try to smash your way out of it. Which I was back during the Ashes with Stuart Broad and David Warner. I was a little bit angry with David Warner when he just did the same thing, getting out to the same defensive shot to Stuart Broad. And I was tweeting during that series, just play some shots, absolutely blast Stuart Broad, which is easier said than done, blast him out of the attack. And to a degree, that's what Aiden Markram did. He blasted the Indian bowlers out of the attack. And I thought that was really brave of him to do that. And I applaud him for doing that. How did you actually find the way he went about it per se?
Yeah, we will discuss this, I'm sure, when we talk about the teams and things. But he was the guy that was under arguably the most pressure going into this Test match. Yeah. And to a large extent is still under that pressure because it was only 31. But you need to look at the manner, as you say. The manner of which that 31 was scored was very impressive. He didn't look particularly shaky, didn't look particularly... he wasn't overthinking things. That was the thing. He wasn't overthinking. He wasn't thinking, well, this one from Shami is going to go away, and this one from Bumba is going to come in, so I need to do this and I need to do that. He just played with the maker's name and just went forward to the ball and just drove. Just basically drove, pushed in front of him, played in front of his pad, tried to stop the LBW as often as he could until his dismissal. You often get these sort of smaller scores where they turn to somebody's career, like Russie's 40. Russie's another one who's doing okay in Test cricket, but not great. He's doing okay. So both of them, it's a sort of innings where both of them could say, you know what, this is the turning point for me. No more 6 games in a row of single figures. It's now I've got to make 3 or 4 scores in a row, and then the odd single figure one here and there because that's the nature of cricket. But it could be a turning point in his test cricket career.
So what does Aiden Markram do in the next game? Does he go gun ho absolutely again, or does he go back to a defensive? Well, when I say defensive, does he go back to that style? What do you think he should do?
I think he should play as close to what he played in that second innings as possible. Okay. Obviously, I don't want him chasing wide ones and things like that. Yeah. But if it's 6 stump, leave the damn thing. Don't chase it.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
But he has to play his natural game. If you look at somebody like Keegan Peterson, until that first innings had failed in every innings he played, Test cricket. He's failed every time. He's been failing every time. He's been making, I think his highest was 20 before that. He was making single figures. He was averaging 15. It was failing. But in every single match, he looked good. At every single innings, he looked like he belonged. He looked like he belonged as a Test cricketer. Aiden Markram has not been doing that. The last little while after that, since the Pakistan series, he's been looking like a man who is struggling in this format. He looks like a man who's not sure of where his fourth stump is. So you can't really change techniques mid-series. I mean, that very, very few people do that. But he's just got to stick to his game. He's just got to say, if it's pitched up and if it's on the stumps, drive. I'm going to drive at it. But if it's that fourth stump line, I'm not going to go chasing balls. I'm not going to get the bowler to bowl to you. Get the bowler to bowl to Ayaan. Ayaan will take you apart. If Ayaan starts chasing, that's where his problems start to creep in.
Yep. So in the end, South Africa won by 7 wickets. Now I want to talk about individual players here, especially Olivier. You wished him. You wanted him to play in that second test, and you got it. Now I wasn't surprised the way he bowled. I thought, man, when he's hot, he's just as good as anybody. I was a little bit disappointed with the comments he got on social media, per se. Nothing abusive or that, but people not really knowing what he's about. Of course, when he first started his career, he was basically like a Pat Cummins, a back of the length bowler, bowled around 140, 145, 150 sometimes. Now we know what. I'm not going to get into what happened because Kolpak, that's a sad situation, however you want to look at it. But he went to England. He dropped his pace considerably. He learned how to swing and learned how to seam, which is a very good thing. And I saw in the comments, he's only bowling 125, 130. Mind you, Tim, every time I looked at the speedometer, he seemed he was hitting 125 on an absolute tee, which I found that more impressive than anything else he was actually doing. All the comments are, why isn't he bowling 140? Why isn't he bowling this? He's not that bowler anymore, Tim. He will risk getting absolutely smoked for 4 by pitching the ball up. Is that how you want to actually him to play as a bowler, or do you want to be like, okay, see if the ball swings, bowl at that pace, but if there's no swing, go back to that length and bowl 150? How would you like to see him bowl?
No, he's a much more rounded bowler after his stint in England. So he needs to find a balance. That is the thing. He's got to find a balance. The issue that I have is I saw him as a guy that's going to pitch the ball up. I saw him as a guy that's potentially going to go for forward over in periods in spells. And I'm okay with that. That's fine, absolutely fine, because he's going to pitch it up. He's trying for that off stump, top of off. So he's going to be bowling full of length. I understand that. My concern, or slight concern, is he's always had that stock delivery of the short ball, and that short ball has always been quick. So he's been able to say, right, I'm going to bowl 4 balls up there. You can hit me for 16, that's fine. But my next one's going to be 140 at your chest. That's what he's been doing in the first class season at the moment. That's what he's been doing in first class cricket at the moment in South Africa. We didn't see that in the test match. When he went short, it just sat up. It sat up like a tennis ball, and it got topped. And if you compare that to Jansen was bowling that, and he was bowling quickly. When he was bowling that short ball, the Indian batters didn't like it at all. So there are potential things that are happening. So he had COVID, as we discussed the last time I spoke to you. I wonder if that has had a slight effect on him. And he is slightly slower than I expected him to be. I will admit that. So it's one to watch out for. It's one test match. I thought he was good in that first innings.
Yeah, so did I.
As a general rule, I thought he bowled well. He caused problems. And he did get the odd one to bounce, but at second innings, he just looked flat. He looked flat.
A bit benign. Yeah.
Yeah. He almost looked a little bit tired. So it's one to watch out for, one to keep an eye out. I expect him to play at Cape Town. I don't expect him not to play. So if he can just get that bouncer back, bowling at a 140, as an occasional delivery, I'm not expecting for 146 balls in a row. You need to have that at this level. You need to have that shock delivery, if you like.
Yeah.
So it's one to watch out for.
I agree with you there, and it's not like he can't do it. It's not like he's had surgeries on his shoulder or his actions changed. He can still bowl 140 plus 145, right, Tim? That's still no problem. I heard during his first innings, because Mark Nicholas was the commentator, he said that in an interview, Olivier said he was slightly nervous going into that, nervous in that innings. And when I heard that, I thought, oh, okay, well maybe he'll crank it up. Maybe he'll, like you said, you don't expect him to bowl 140. He wants to pitch it up, which you're correct. He pitched up the odd one. He wasn't afraid to get smoked around the park. And at one point he actually was on a hat trick. Pujara went, Rahane went, and I made a tweet saying, when this man is hot, he is just as good as anybody worldwide. But I knew that he bowled slow, not 140 like he usually did. I kind of expected that, which I was a bit disappointed with social media comments. Like I said, not abusing him, but just didn't know what he was about when going to England. But I agree with you, Tim. I did expect a little bit more in that second innings. I thought, you know what, you're not getting it to swing. Crank it up. Absolutely go gun ho and crank it up. Is that something you'd like to see him do? If he cannot swing it, which is all right, he wants to pitch it up, he wants to go for runs, he wants to see if he can swing. If he can't swing it, do you want him to go back to the bowler he was and just absolutely crank it up, or as you just said, probably every now and then just a short ball, crank up the short ball? Where would you like to see him going with his pace wise?
I think he's finished as an enforcer. He's enforcer.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Were on his earlier Test career with South Africa. He frightened people. He literally frightened people. Those days are those days are over.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be the swing bowler who bowls the top of off. It's LBWs. Gets his bowls, gets his caught behinds, and if he's 3 for 40 in 10 overs in every Test match, I don't care. I don't care about the runs. I literally don't care. I need wickets. That's what I'm
indeed,
here
of
for.
course,
I do think the nervous part is understated. I think he's a lot more nervous than just normal first Test match of the series that he's played. I think he's a lot more nervous because of leaving, coming back, the reaction, the fans. I think that's affected him. He says it doesn't, but I do wonder if potentially that it has, because when it first came out that he was coming back, on social media, it was quite something. It was quite something. Quite vitriol. And in the 21st century, it's impossible not to see the odd tweet here and there.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree with that. 100%. Yeah.
So I do wonder if he's back in his mind as, I've got to impress my fans. I've got to make them see that I'm a better bowler. I've got to see that I love South Africa and I'm back to play for the Proteas. And I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot in there. He's not the character that left South Africa. The character that left South Africa was, at least came across as quite spiteful. Might not have been, but he came across in that fashion.
Really?
He was very quick to say he was going to play for England.
Okay.
Or tried to play for England.
Okay. And that guy,
That was very quick.
Yeah.
Look, he was very magnanimous when he came back. He did an interview with somebody, and he apologized for that. He apologized that he went about it the wrong way, and that's very very good of him. But some people are still not hanging on to that. I'm not. I mean, it's a sportsman's career. You've only got 10 years of the highest level, 10, 12 years. I don't have a problem with him leaving at all. But I do think that's played a part, potentially, at least.
But with that, with what you just said being spiteful, isn't that in a way his problem, because he knew he well aware knew the Kolpak contracts? Or did he actually just wanted to play Test cricket? What do you think?
Anyone that leaves left for Kolpak knew full well that was your over.
Yeah.
There was no. I'm going over there. I'll be back in. No, you're not coming back.
All sports, not just cricket in South Africa.
It doesn't work like that. I just think that for whatever reason, I don't know what happened, but I don't know for whatever reason, I just think that maybe he just felt, I need to now focus on other things.
Yeah.
So playing for my country is fantastic. Yeah. I need to worry about my family and making money. Again, no issue with that.
Yeah.
Some people do have had an issue, but I don't. I don't have an issue. No issue with that at all.
But isn't it? It's an absolute shame though, because this was before he left for Kolpak. He was a world class bowler. He was taking 5-wicket hauls. He was when he bowled, he had a smile on his face. He looked like a legitimately nice guy. It's just a pity that all these years, has been taken out of him on a political issue. But in a way, like you just said, they're well aware of what's going to happen. You just don't think, I'm just going to play in England or Australia or whatever. Not just cricket stars, but rugby stars. That I'd imagine that happens a lot in rugby. Do you feel sympathised on that part? That he was a world class bowler, still is. I think he still can be. I think he can be a great bowler. I think he can be a top 5 bowler, in my opinion. But do you have sympathy or no sympathy for that when they go, they leave for Kolpak? And then, it ends their cricket or shall I say sporting career. Do you have sympathy for that? Or do you say, well, it is really their choice? I have no sympathy for it. Where do you sit on that per se?
I don't begrudge anyone who leaves or has left. Don't begrudge them at all. I don't live their lives. I don't live in their house. I don't understand what's going on in their life. I'm not gonna start poking fun at them and criticizing them for their decisions. It's his life. It's his life. He's got a young family. He's got a wife. Not at all.
Arvin S said, "Love the show, guys. Thank you so much." We'll move on to the third test, the preview of the third test. Any changes you would make, Tim, for that test at Johannesburg?
For South Africa?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Look, you could make a slight change.
Yeah.
You could say, Mark, you've had enough. You need a break. Let's give Saul Erver a chance. He's been waiting in the wings for a long time now to get his chance. I don't think they're going to do that.
Yep.
I don't think I think that would be very left field. And Mark Boucher is not known for his left field selections. He likes his 11 and he wants to stick with that 11 for as long as possible. You just look at the selection of Maharaj for the series. Now, I understand why they want to play Maharaj. He shouldn't have played either test match.
Okay.
He shouldn't have played either test match. Not in the Highveld. At Cape Town, yes. At Durban, yes. At PE, yes. Not at the Highveld. But be that what it may, he's definitely going to be playing at Cape Town. They're definitely going to play. Spinner's going to play a lot more of an effect in in Cape Town. So no, I don't think there's going to be any changes unless somebody's sick or does an injury.
We're going into this test series after de Kock tied. You mentioned 2 wicket keepers. Now we've already seen one of them. Would you be tempted to look at the other keeper, or are you just saying no? Kyle, again the damn name. I'm terrible with names, Tim. Help me out here, please.
People know it's Carl Verreynne, but if you say Carl,
Verreynne,
there's only one Carl in the South African team.
Okay, Carl Verreynne. Okay, would you stick with Carl Verreynne, or would you go with the other wicketkeeper that you mentioned before this series?
No, you can't say to Carl, you've had your one test now, I'm going to give somebody else. No, you can't. You can't do that. You've got to say to Carl, listen, Quinton's gone, the test format, you've got this summer. You've got this summer and the England series. Yep. So you've got India, Sri Lanka, New Zealand. You could do that. India, Sri Lanka, New Zealand. Is that right? No, I can't remember. But anyway,
I know. They do have New Zealand because Bangladesh play New Zealand and they play South Africa. And I think South Africa to England. Yeah.
No, it's Bangladesh. We've got Bangladesh.
Sorry.
New Zealand and then Bangladesh. Yeah, Bangladesh, not Sri Lanka.
Oh, that's away, isn't it? Bangladesh is away, isn't it?
Yeah. No, New Zealand away, Bangladesh home.
Oh, okay, and England away. Okay,
Yeah. So you could say to him, you've got the New Zealand and the Bangladesh tours. You could say, you've got those tours, they're nailed down, make a name for yourself, and then you make a decision. If you're still averaging what he's averaging now, which is round about, I don't know, 17, 18, something like that, you could say then, give the other guy a chance. But you need to give Kyle a proper run in this format. You need to say, you are number one for now. Prove it to us.
Are you happy with Kyle Verreynne keep being long-term keeper, or would you prefer the other keeper that you mentioned? I forgot his name altogether, so I won't bother. But would you prefer that keeper, or are you happy with Kyle Verreynne?
I'm happy with Kyle. I do have slight concerns in the batting department because I was watching him in the test match, and I wonder. It's still early days. He can turn it around. But I do wonder, particularly with this Indian pace attack, whether he might have the technique for Test cricket. I think he's going to be sensational in the white ball stuff, but the verdict's still out of whether he's going to be a long-term Test replacement. I hope I'm wrong.
Is that mainly is that mainly on his defence, trying to survive a difficult situation? Yeah. He's too. It's something's not quite clicking. He did all that hard work for the 21. Did all that hard work. Yeah, he made a start. That's the start in Test cricket.
Got a straight ball. It was just a straight ball. It did nothing.
Yeah,
it did nothing at all. Yeah. Look, anyone can lose their concentration. Maybe with loss of concentration.
Of course, Test cricket. Of course,
and it's still early days. But the verdict is still out there as to who was going to be there long term in this format, whether it's going to be him or somebody else. Yeah.
How did you see his glove work in that Test match?
I have no issues with his glove work.
I thought he was good. Excellent. I think it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Absolutely superb.
Yeah.
There's nothing he could have done about those buys over his head.
No.
Not unless he was 6'7", like Johnson. There's nothing he could have done.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, this match is going to play at Johannesburg. What are your predictions for this Test match? And what do you think South Africa need to do in order to win this Test match?
They need to bat first. They need to win a toss. They lost both tosses.
That seems to be the problem.
Win a toss. I don't care how. Use a double-headed coin. Bat first, score 350. The last time they played, nobody made 300 in any of the 4 innings in 2018. Nobody made 300.
I think we've lost him.
Hey? No, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Lucas? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we did lose you for a second, Tim, but that's all right. Keep going.
Okay. All right, now I'm very much here. So, the final test, yeah. Bat first, score 350.
Yep.
Put the pressure back on India.
Yeah.
The momentum was with South Africa. We need to keep it that way. We can't put the momentum back into India's favour. Somehow make 350. Somebody makes 100. 3 or 4 guys. And then spin is definitely going to have a part of this test match. If you look at the 4-day stuff this season, the last game at Newlands, Simon Harbour got 10. So that's all you need to know. So it's definitely going to be a battle between Ashwin and Maharaj. They can have a huge say in this. It's going to be the flattest wicket of the series, this particular one, which is why we need to get to 350. The flattest, but it's going to take more spin than the other 2.
When you saw South Africa bat in that 4th innings, do you say now that's the standard? That's what you should be doing every single innings, or do you see this as just a once-off?
The former, please.
Yeah.
The former. It has to be the former. It could very well be the latter. I still think the team in general is it's on shaky ground. I still think there's a lot of puzzles that need to be put together. It's slowly coming together, very, very slowly. But this is by no means the complete article, shall we say.
Yep.
If we just look at Australia, for example, if Australia against India were very different to what they are now. And that's just 12 months. And 12 months, Australia have turned themselves over with to a large extent, the same players, to a large extent. And they are going to be impossible at home now. We need to do the same. We need to go, you know what? This is our home ground. We might struggle elsewhere, particularly in Asia. But we're not going to struggle.
What else is new, Tim? Don't mention Asian records with us, Tim, please. It's embarrassing. Forget about Asia. We haven't won outside in Australia since 2015. So you don't even bother there, Tim. That just makes me sick. How pathetic we are away from home. At least you won in Australia before 2015. Don't worry about that, Tim. You'll be right away. Go ahead, Tim.
So that's basically it.
Yeah.
We will know by the end of the summer, by the end of the Bangladesh and New Zealand series, where the side is going. Either it needs a whole new shake-up, which I thought that, and I still think that. Or we're going in the right direction, and we just need tinkering. We will know in the next 2 or 3 months which direction to go.
Now, with this 3rd Test match, would you be content with a draw, or are you saying go for it? Go for the win. As you said, it's on your home ground. India do not want to draw. I know they're desperate, absolutely desperate to win this game. But if this was a 50-50 scenario, what would you think South Africa would do? Would they risk losing the game to win it, or would they play it safe? Because going into this Test series, a lot of South Africa were not favourites. A lot of people were saying India are going to win the first time in South Africa. Will South Africa just say, you know what, we need to draw. We'll play safe, and not risk losing to win it?
Well, obviously we're going to start off trying to win it. I mean, every team,
of course,
in our situation.
Oh, of course,
But if you're saying, for example, we need to score 80 in the last session, and we've got 3 wickets in hand, we're drawing it. We're drawing it. We're 7 down, we need 80 in the last session, we are drawing it. There is no argument to say we're going to go and we're going to score 80, and whoever, it doesn't matter who's batting. It doesn't matter if one of the batters, one of the top 6 is in there. There is no chance. It's a draw, mate. It's a draw. Mark Boucher by nature is conservative. South Africans by nature are conservative. It's going to be a draw. That's where we do not want to lose this. We do not want to lose. We want to hold on to this India not winning in South Africa.
Just on that, like I said, everyone in his man and his dog said that this is India's best time, and they will win the first time in South Africa. If I said to you before series, South Africa will draw this series, would you take it?
Yes.
Okay.
Unquestionably. Unquestionably. It is interesting. When I was on a previous podcast, I said if it's 1-1, India win.
Okay.
But I had what I had in mind was South Africa wins in Centurion, India wins at the Wanderers because they lost. We haven't before the last one. They hadn't lost at Wanderers. That's how I was thinking. Because of the way it's planned out, I just think it's slightly towards South Africa at the moment. Could go either way, but I just think the momentum was with South Africa at the moment.
If South Africa do hold on for a draw, or better yet, win this Test match, how will Mark Boucher and co be received? Will everybody say, "Well, hallelujah, South Africa cricket is saved"? Will they say, "Well, hang on, it's just one series"? Will this be a massive deal because this is a big team in India? This is not like a Bangladesh where probably South Africa would be expected to win. This is a team that's been world class for many, many years. Played in the World Championship, Test Championship final against New Zealand. Will this, no matter a draw or a win, will this be good for South African cricket? Will this, the weight of the shoulders will be lifted? What will be the interpretation of that if they draw or win?
It's going to have to be positive. Like there are lots of people calling for change and calling for this person to go and that person to go, and you just have to go on social media and see that. But if we do that against the best team in the world, they are number one. They're number one for a reason. It will be absolutely huge. I think I might have said to you, or I'm not sure, or somebody else, I'm not sure. I might have said to you, I said if Mark Boucher goes unbeaten against India and England in July, nobody can say anything to him. Nobody can say anything to him. This is not a great South African side. This is not. I'm sorry. It isn't. I want them to win and stuff, but it isn't. He doesn't have.
I love the honesty.
He doesn't have an
I love the honesty.
He doesn't have a Dale Steyn. Doesn't have a Morning Morkel. Doesn't have a Werner Verlander.
Doesn't have a Phil Lander. He
doesn't have a block. It doesn't have a star player. The only star player in this 11 is Rabada. It is the only genuine star player.
You won't put Norkie there?
World class, yes. But just below Rabada at the moment. Just below. I know that they love him in the IPL, and fair enough. He's been sensational on that. And, It's been sensational for South Africa. No doubt about it.
He has.
So, if you get unbeaten in those 2 series, nobody can say anything. He can say, you know what? You threw everything at me. You did all sorts of articles calling for me to go and say I said this and that and the other. But I was unbeaten against India and England away. It would be quite something. Something.
With that, if they do beat India and England away and nobody gives credit to South Africa, would that be a little bit disrespectful? Will you say, I don't care, they can say what they want? Because you might get that in England, in India. You might say, well, India are absolutely pathetic. How can you lose to this South African team? As you just said, it's not a good team. Same with England. How can you lose to England with the Duke ball? Would you even care about that? Or you know what? We've bet two very good nations. England is a good nation at home, regardless of all their problems away. They are a different team with that Duke ball. Let's be honest. Yeah. We haven't won there in 20 damn years.
Yeah.
Would you care about the comments and the critics, or are you just saying we've bet two world class teams in India and England in England? Who cares?
I know Mark Barcher won't care.
Yeah,
I know he won't.
Yeah,
he is a fighter. Mark Barcher is a fighter.
Yeah,
he is a fighter. If he wasn't a fighter, he would have gone. All the stuff that's been going on. If he wasn't a fighter, if he wasn't interested in fighting for his place, fighting for credibility as a good coach, he would have gone. He would have said, you know what, I don't have to deal with this.
Yeah.
I'll go and coach in the IPL or some other league. He will not care.
Yeah. There you go. So that's the review of the South Africa and India. Now, we have got a little bit of time left. I actually do want to mention Bangladesh. South Africa do have Bangladesh, and they've just had an historic first Test match against New Zealand. Unbelievable, winning the first time ever in New Zealand. And like South Africa's run chase, they did that pretty comfortably. Your thoughts on that little moment of Bangladesh?
I don't think it's given the credit that it's deserved. At least that I haven't seen. Apart from the odd.
That's what I just mentioned with you. Yeah. How can New Zealand do this against Bangladesh? Go on, Tim.
For example, I've seen huge improvements in that bowling department, which is coached by our previous coach, who we decided wasn't good enough, who wasn't good enough for some reason.
Yeah,
he's been sensational with that bowling unit, and they were absolutely on the money for 5 days. Then the Bangladeshis, they've got talent with the bat. They have. That somebody's always going to make runs. They've got a top 6 where anyone can actually make a Test match 100. They've got that kind of talent.
They do.
To do it in both innings. Against Bolt and company. Is I take the hats off to. That's seriously impressive. Seriously impressive.
It was. I just could not believe that, because we see the same old New Zealand. Mind you, New Zealand this Test match, it looks like they're going to belt the living hell out of Bangladesh. Unfortunately, you never know. They're in a very strong position, but you think, oh well, New Zealand, they're just going to make 500, bowl out Bangladesh in 2-3 days like they do the Sri Lanka or Bangladesh before series, and then just a one-sided Test match. But boy, we got our money's worth there. Don't worry about that. Now we're going from one corner of the globe to the other. Well, not kind of, but next door to the Ashes, where it's been an absolutely beatdown, an absolute murder for the English bowlers. Having said that, Tim, I don't know if you've been watching, but they've managed to stick out a draw. Steve Smith, had me on the edge of his seat bowling. He took a wicket. I couldn't. The electricity in the air in my house was unbelievable. You can cut the tension with a knife. I just couldn't sit. But England did manage to hold on for a draw. How have you reviewed that series? And have you found anything that South Africa can learn from that series?
Well, the first 3 Test matches, I'm sorry, but it was boring. I'm sorry. As a neutral,
for you, yeah.
Absolutely boring.
Not for me. I loved it. I thought it was the best test in about 10 years. Hallelujah. Go ahead, Tim.
Look, what I would say, is I now see a really good Australian side, and they haven't been they've been okay for bit too long. I now see a really, really good Australian side.
Yeah.
So as much as it's been boring and one-sided, Australia were exceptional right from the get-go, and they never let up. They never, ever, ever, ever let up. Even in this test match, with I don't know how much rain they had there, but they had so much rain. It just kept raining and raining and raining and raining. Even there, the reaction of the Australian players to the draw tells me everything.
Yeah.
Tells me everything.
They're a bit disappointed,
They were gutted. Absolutely gutted. I don't know how many overs you lost to rain, but you lost tons of overs.
Yeah.
I didn't watch every ball of it.
Of course,
admittedly.
Of course,
the hours and stuff. But their reaction tells me this is not good enough.
Yeah, they wanted 5-0. They really wanted 5-0.
5-0.
Yeah.
We want to pulverize the opposition.
Yeah.
This is Mark Taylor. Mark Taylor type cricket.
Steve Waugh, ruthless aggression.
And I just hope that Graham Smith still puts the phone off the hook when Australia keep calling. Just for a little bit longer. Doesn't take any more calls from Australia. We need to find a couple of people. We need to get more settled before we accept calls from Australia. We're not ready yet to take on Australia. I'm a little bit concerned when we take on you guys, wherever it is, in South Africa or in Australia. I'm a little bit worried. You guys are not complete, but you guys are really, really good.
The
English, I see a few green shoots in that last test match.
Yeah.
I saw a few green shoots. Well, for starters, Hamid should never have been selected. I'm sorry. Hamid should never have been selected. I'm a big fan. Glad he was back at the runs of the county circuit.
Yep.
Should never have been selected for the Ashes. He should have been playing grade cricket. Or even the A game. Should never have played. They should have stuck with Crawley. Crawley saw the 77. In that one innings, you can see he's above Hamid at the moment in Test cricket. Bairstow's 100, exceptional 100. In the context of the situation, in the context of the game, in the context of just being ground down, just being absolutely taken to the cleaners. I don't know how much longer he's got Test cricket, but that is an exceptionally good Test 100. So there were a few green shoots, and they fought England. They fought. They wanted to draw. They didn't just go, you know what, I can't care. We just want to go home. No, even though they know they're getting a new coach and probably a couple of new players once the aftermath of the Ashes has happened.
Might be a new captain as well, Tim.
So I think, huh? Sorry?
There might be a new captain as well after the Ashes.
Quite possibly. But it was good from a neutral point of view to see England actually fight for the first time in the series.
I was slightly worried with today's Test match because I think that England got a situation where Stokes was still in, and they needed 240 off 50 overs. I was a little bit worried because the thing that popped into my mind was India and Gabba, and then Ben Stokes and Headingley. And when I saw Ben Stokes was in that situation, I thought, oh boy, here we go. He's gonna tee off, but thank God we got him out, and that kind of squashed any kind of win. And then they batted really well. They were literally the walking wounded in this match. Bairstow might not play next match. Butler seems to be out. They were an absolute walking wounded with their injuries. So it is from a neutral, not from my perspective, because as you know, Tim, I wanted 5-0. I didn't care. I didn't give a damn how boring it might be for the neutral. I wanted 5-0. I wanted a statement. And I thought Captain Cummins and Smith's captaincy, when I say Smith's captaincy, Cummins has publicly stated he lets Smith do the tactics and whatnot. that they declared a little bit too late for my mind. I think when Khawaja made that 100, I think they should have declared. But anyway, I think they got that a little wrong. But fantastic by England. They showed some fight. I think they're going to get absolutely pulverised in the Hobart Test match because of its green top. Just like South Africa pulverised us that day. Tim, glad I can remember those old runes. But a very, very proud moment for cricket South Africa that day was. And they won in Australia. Absolutely demolished our coach and et cetera. Then that debacle in South Africa. So thank you for that, Tim, for bringing up those memories. But like I said, it's good to see England fight. It's good to see competitive cricket. With the Bangladesh game, with the South African second Test match, it's good. As you said, from a neutral, you don't really want matches to end in 3-4 days. That does probably nothing for Test cricket. But that's the way it is. Sometimes if teams don't perform, they're going to get smashed out of the park. But as a neutral, if I'm a neutral, I would have preferred, a Test match like today, where I went down to the last ball. Probably not me personally, being an Australian fan. But anyway, Tim, thank you for talking about this. We'll round our show. Thank you for talking about South Africa cricket and preview of the third Test. Ashes and Bangladesh. Thank you for coming, Tim. Really appreciate you coming, and we will hopefully see you at the end of the Test match to see if South Africa drew, lost, or hopefully in your case win.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So that was the end of the show. Please follow Tim Dale Lace on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter, Lucas 3 Spanish King. Thank you for watching YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you hopefully at the end of the third Test match in Tim's sake, South African win. Thank you, Tim.